G-Dog just pulls out his gun, puts it in the cop's face, says the only one who's not leaving is you, motherfucker. Everybody run. Thought I got away with it. Didn't realise statute of limits, and they don't need to catch you with pills.
What do they catch you with?
They don't have to catch you with anything.
So where's the evidence?
People, conspiracy. You're fucked. There's no way around it.
26 months, back and forward, court.
Facing 200 years. That was when I almost killed myself. This is Arizona State. But it's all gang controlled. So the 4 major gangs in Arizona are the whites. The black gang is the Mau Mau. Then you've got the Mexican Nationals. Then you've got the Chicanos.
What sort of stuff did you see in that prison?
So early on, I see a guy get attacked in the shower by the neo-Nazis, and they leave him whimpering in a pool of blood. They think he's a chobo. This guy's getting taken out on a stretcher, and there's not just blood coming out of his head, there's like yellow shit coming out of his head.
Shaun, welcome to the show, mate.
Man, I'm blown away by your story that I've listened to on the way here. University, hustling, raves, clubs, festivals, and I feel we are kindred spirits. So
yeah, mate.
Well done on your
mate.
festival success and your podcast success.
Yeah, thank you, mate.
It's blown up out of nowhere.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
We weren't expecting this at all. When we did this in lockdown, we thought, I'll give it a go. This podcast. I didn't know what a podcast was 2 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Let's do a podcast, tell the story, get some wicked guests on.
Yeah.
Ended up co-host the Harry Redknapp show as well on the back of this podcast, and all of a sudden, yeah.
Sidemen, everything.
Yeah.
You're everywhere.
Yeah, madness, mate. But all fun. A load of fun.
Definitely.
But anyway, it ain't about me. This is about you. Shaun, let's roll all the way back. Where did you grow up, and how on earth did you end up in one of the toughest American prisons?
All right, so I grew up in Widnes, a chemical manufacturing town between Liverpool and Manchester. And I was always a nerdy business economics graduate student, following the stock market at 14, investing at 16. But I had a maniac best friend, R.I.P. Wildman. He died just over 2 years ago because he did live fast and hard. So Wildman, he suddenly grew massive in his school. He was 2 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And I'd already took him under my wing, but that's a big age difference when you're kids. So he was picking school teachers up, putting them in rubbish bins, and the school got so scared of him, they had him outside raking leaves with the caretaker. So he's got red dots in his head telling him to hurt people. That was his thing that he told us at that age. Now, at the top of my town, there's a quarry overlooking, it's a hill, Peck's Hill Quarry, and there's trees around the rim. So we had a tree called the Thinking Tree, and we'd sit up there, me, Wildman, and Wildman's cousin Hammy, and we'd plan what we were going to do, when we grow up. So they'd say to me, what are you going to do when you grow up? I'm going to go to America and make $1 million in the stock market and fly you guys over. Wildman, what are you going to do when you grow up? I've got red dots in my head telling me to hurt people. I'm going to end up in prison. And both of those things is exactly what happened. Yeah, and he was a big fella as well. When he died, he was 29.5 stone and 6'2".
29.5
Yeah,
stone?
it was like a wall coming at you.
Of not muscle.
No, he had the
Big
physique
lump.
of a bear, because when he was on the run, we put him in Mexico.
Was he roided up, or was he just big and...
No, he was just naturally...
He's a big man.
His shoulders were like this, his
Okay.
fists were twice the size of mine.
Okay.
He punched one guy so hard in America that his tooth got so deeply embedded between his knuckles, he couldn't get it out. So he goes to the hospital, and he hates his hospitals. He said he was self-healing. And he's in an argument with the nurse. The nurse is like, how did you do that? And he's like, how did you fucking think? I can punch someone in the face. Can you get it out? And she's like, she gets it out. And she was like, it got really painful. And she told him to come back for stitches, and he just walked out the hospital. He had fishing wire at home.
Whacked
Just
it out.
did it himself. Did it himself.
Quality.
Yeah. But to answer your question, Wildman became my crime partner, my best friend, my bodyguard. I did fly him out to Arizona after he got out of prison.
So let's just roll a little bit back there. You were saying how were you earning a pound note at the age of 18, 19, 20?
All right, so I was 16 and British Telecom privatisation was advertised under Margaret Thatcher's government. So I went to my dad and said, can you give me 50 quid for this? Because my economics teacher saw I had an aptitude, and he was giving me classes on my own, explaining all the numbers in the Financial Times and all that stuff. My dad says, bugger off, we're not bloody Conservatives, not bloody Tories like your nan. And then a light bulb goes off, me nan. So I run down to me nan's house, I said, can I get 50 quid to put in this? She's like, of course you can. She loved Maggie. Yeah. So it doubled first day of dealings, didn't it? I didn't grow up with any money. I go down Widnes Library, ordered dozens of books on the stock market, and I just become obsessed with it. I've got this manic energy. And if I'm into something, I just get tunnel vision. I just throw all the energy into it, and that's what I did.
And did you do that? Did you learn off anyone? Do you have a mentor? Did you go, right, okay, I'm going to go and earn a pound note, but I know someone who's actually smashing it, so I'm going to follow that?
Right. So visiting my aunt in Arizona when I was a teenager, my aunt took me to the mall, and I bought this book called Secrets for Profiting in Bull and Bear Markets by Stan Weinstein. So as a kid, I'm reading this book over and over again. He was my hero. But then later on, when I'm working the stock market, he did start to mentor me over the phone.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, so were you out in Arizona? Did you stay in Arizona? Did you come back?
No, I was an illegal alien stockbroker. Okay. So I couldn't leave the country. Well, man, he got deported by like 3 or 4 times. He was classified as a menace to society. So I had to send Mission Impossible style teams of people through Canada and Mexico to keep smuggling him back in.
So how old were you when you moved to Arizona?
All right, so I'll tell you why I was dazzled by Arizona. My aunt, I had 2 aunts out there. When the plane comes into land, you see all the swimming pools in the backyards. We'd drive through like what was called Paradise Valley. You'd see all the $1 million houses in the mountains. And I was like, I'm going to have one of them one of these days. And they just roll out the red carpet. They hear the English accent. My aunt, I think I was 16. She changed my date of birth and my passport, so I was 21.
So you can have a drink.
Took me out nightclubbing.
Quality,
and is introducing me to all these American women as Paul McCartney's nephew. So I'm just a nobody from Widnes, chemical manufacturing town. All of a sudden, Paul McCartney's nephew. All these beautiful American women are all over me. I want some of this when I finish university.
So your aunt, best wing woman ever.
Yeah, totally.
What's her name? What's her name?
She doesn't want a name mentioned.
Okay, fair play. What year are we talking here?
All right, so I was born in 1968. And I moved to America. I did Glastonbury after I finished at university, and then I went to Arizona in 1991.
91, and roughly how old were you?
Early 20s.
Early 20s.
Yeah.
So you're Arizona, you saw the lights, the bright lights. Were you trading out there then?
So I wanted to be an investment analyst, but you have to go to New York for that.
Yeah.
So Arizona, there's a lot of money, so they have a lot of stockbroker positions, and I got hired right away by a penny stock firm. I didn't know it was a penny stock firm. Straight out of Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
6 a.m. sales meeting. The boss was like this Mafia looking figure, and he'd bring in these heavy hitting like sales producers to school us rookies, and they'd be punching the table, punching the board. You're only as big as your numbers are on this board for the month. Smiling brokers make the most money. Pacing brokers make the most money. Have mirrors on your desk to smile at. Get 24-foot curly cords to pace with. The fucking whole office, everyone was pacing like crazy on these cords. Like, you had to limbo on the Yeah, but I loved it, man, because I watched Wall Street.
Yeah.
And I thought greed was good. My aunt, who mentored me, said, it's fuck off, we fucked in the business world. So greed is good. It's fuck off, we fucked in the business world were my mantras. Caveat on that now. I ended up losing everything through my bad choices, and while I was incarcerated I realised that money is not the meaning of life. Happiness is in the heart and what your thoughts make it.
So where were you? What sort of lifestyle were you living when you took a different path of being on the stockbroker, earning a pound note that way? What made you flip to the other route?
All right, so the first 2 years as a stockbroker it was commission only. I was living off cheese on toast and bananas, worried I was going to have to come home. 5 years in, I was the top guy, grossing $500,000. Got my own staff, secretary, cold callers. But I'm burnt out from working these long hours, and I'm getting more and more into the party scene.
Yeah.
And there was a point where I was in the car park outside the office, and I started to get involved in drugs. And I was counting all this cash. And the boss's secretary, she like gets in the car next to me, and she's looking over. So the next day I get pulled into a meeting with the boss, and he's like, Shaun, you are at a crossroads in your life right now. You can choose the right thing and go up here and just elevate yourself and have more and more success, or you can go down here, which can end in hell and failure. And
you took the latter.
I chose hell and failure. Yeah, it was too enticing for me because I was so emotionally mature
So
in my 20s.
were you at that point where you had enough money in the bank saying, you know what, if I left my job, I haven't got a problem, I can go and party and have fun?
Yes.
Okay. So you took that route.
How
long, what sort of lifestyle were you living when you had the money in the bank?
All right, so the Ecstasy enterprise, which started around 96, 97, kept going till about 2001.
Yeah.
I would say everything peaked in 1999. And I was in $1 million house on the side of a mountain in a gated guarded community at that point. I got married to a woman who was doing lesbian internet porn. She was intelligent. She was a university graduate.
Hold on.
On the Las Vegas Strip.
Hold on.
Las Vegas
What's
Strip.
that? Lesbian porn?
Yeah.
What's she doing?
Lesbian internet porn.
Internet porn?
Yeah.
What, earning a £1 note on selling herself with a load of girls?
Do you want me to tell you?
100%. I want to know exactly what she was doing.
All right. So,
and how did you meet her?
there was a woman at the raves, a striptease dancer. I think her name was Pepper.
Standard.
Yeah, an Asian girl. And whenever we met, we'd always have like a kiss and a cuddle because we were on Ecstasy.
Yeah.
And we were having a kiss and a cuddle one time at this rave venue in Phoenix Lighthouse. And she said to me, next week, I'm going to bring a woman you will fall in love with. And she did. She did. So we ended up getting married on the Las Vegas Strip at a little chapel. And because she's bisexual, she wanted to go to a brothel on our wedding day. Now, who am I to stand in the way of my wife's desires?
That is quality.
But there's some twists and turns here. So her thing was, right, a woman could get involved with us and have a threesome and give us both head, but then the woman had to piss off and we would have full sex.
Yeah.
That was her rules. That was her limit. So she's like, I want to go to brothel. It's my wedding day, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, yeah. So I'm calling the brothels and my heart's sinking, man. They're telling me these are gentlemen's clubs only. We don't allow women in here. Yeah. So I call another one. Same thing. But on the way back to the hotel, I think it was Caesars, someone had handed us like a little magazine on the strip. And she's like, well, get a girl to the room, So I'm like, yes, again. But I'm also thinking, like, they may say the same thing, like, we don't do this kind of thing for a man and a woman. Yeah. So we call this number. I said, look, here's what's happened. We can't get in a brothel. It's our wedding day. My wife's bisexual. And we're looking for a woman to give us both head. Oh, yeah, we've got the perfect woman, brunette, blah, 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 blah. $150 for an hour, blah, blah, blah. It's like, cool, send her over, here's where we are. So this woman shows up. Now, I've got a lot of drug connections at this point. Arizona is on the border with Mexico.
Yeah. We
could get like a kilo of coke for like $12,000. Pure stuff, uncut, like with that pearly iridescence. Yeah. And so my wife's, she's doing lines of that high quality coke when the escort comes in. So the escort right away is like, can I have a line? We're like, yeah, but it's really strong. Just take it easy. She just busts out and just rolls this snorts a master blaster line, right? So she's off her face. Now, my wife goes first. She's getting oral from the escort. Yeah. I'm just sat there like, but they're both really wired. I can see they're really wired. The escort jumps up again. There's another massive master blaster after we tell her, just play it cool. She won't listen. Jumps on the bed. It's your turn. Grabs my cock with an iron welder's grip because she's so high on coke. She's like this, foaming at the mouth and fucking eyes this big. I'm thinking, I got to hold on to my nut. It's my wedding day. What the fuck? I think Pythagoras' theorem, Margaret Thatcher, all this shit going through my head. So anyway, that phase ended. I get off the bed and she does more coke, busts out a purse, shows us pictures of her kids. She says, she's out here from Ohio. You're the coolest couple I've ever met. I'm doing things I don't really like to do in this job. Why can't I just move back to Arizona and live with you guys and all this shit? And she's telling us about, the man of the father of the kids left her. So my heart's feeling sorry for this woman. And my wife's just looking at her like, kind of get rid of her face. So when the escort went to the toilet, my wife said, either you get rid of her or I will. The whole purpose of calling someone to your room is you fuck them and they leave afterwards. So I was like, my heartstrings was like, I was like, yeah, you can hang out with us and,
How long were you with your missus before you got married?
So none of my marriages lasted longer than 3 years.
Right. And that one there?
3 years.
No. How long were you with her before you got married?
Oh, I got married quite quickly.
How quick?
Months.
Is it months?
Months. All of them are months.
Is it?
Yeah. The first one.
Why? Are you straight away going, I want to marry you? Bang.
There's different circumstances. So the first one, right? I was out of uni. I was starting out as a rookie stockbroker. I was, fresh, living off my student credit cards and all this stuff. And I'm at a bar and I meet this Asian woman, and she's 10 years older than me. And she asks if the following weekend I will go to her house to help move her piano.
Yeah.
So I said yes. I had no idea what moving the piano entailed. She's got this grand chung piano that it's so heavy it won't even budge. But she'd cooked a nice chicken curry, and I started to go back each week, and that's how we got together. Now, she said 6 months in, because I'm older than you, I'd feel more secure in our relationship if we got married. And I was like, yeah, cool, sounds good to me. It didn't mean anything to me. I was so emotionally immature. It just sounded like a fun thing.
How old were you roughly then?
22, 23.
How many times have you been married?
3.
You've been married 3 times?
Yeah. But 6 months after immediately after the marriage to the first one, a mental illness came out. So I was working these long hours in the office, coming home having a shower curtain just ripped open one night. She jumped in there with a Ginsu knife, going to slash off my man parts.
Why?
She had an ex-husband, right, who cheated on her with a blonde.
Right.
So she started saying to me, and pardon the language, I know English guy, they love blonde pussy, because American guy, they love blonde pussy. I know you fucking sucking blonde pussy. Come here, let me smell your Georgie. So
let me smell your Georgie. Is that what she said?
Yes, I'd be running around the house. I'd be running around the house with this crazy woman with a Ginsu knife screaming, let me smell your Georgie! I know you're fucking sucking blonde pussy. You won't let me smell your Georgie because you're fucking sucking blonde pussy. And she's got this knife, man. And in the end, I won't let her smell it. And she just starts screaming and crying and going, I knew you fucking sucking blonde pussy. You won't let me smell your Georgie. Yeah, all right, well, we took her to the doctors.
Yeah.
And because if you love someone and you've got an issue, you're thinking, you go at least give it a try.
Help them out, yeah.
We were at the doctors and he put her on Zoloft and she was fine.
Yeah.
And then her sister came over 2 years later and her sister showed up dressed completely in white at the airport, all these crucifixes and rosy beads and stuff. I'm working in the top floor of a high-rise building and we've got an apartment in a building next to it. Every day the sisters are cooking up this food and stuff and they're getting along great and I'm thinking this is cool. Third or fourth day I come home from work and my wife's face has got that look that I remembered.
Yeah.
And she starts chasing me around the living room. She's like, I said, what's the matter? She said, my sister threw the medicine away. She said, it's Western poison. You're trying to kill me with my doctor's trying to kill me. I'm like, no, I'm not. She's throwing things at me, throws plates at me, Anyway, a plate. We've got a glass-topped coffee table and a plate or something lands on it and smashes it into these jagged pieces. I'm thinking, I got to be up for the 6 o'clock in the morning sales meeting. What am I going to do in this situation? So I locked myself in the bedroom and barricaded the door. Woke up at 5 in the morning, I peep through the door and look in the living room and they've turned it into like a chapel. There's posters of Jesus and Mary and all this stuff on the walls. There's candles flickering, rosary beads everywhere and all this stuff. But both the sisters are asleep. So I'm thinking, right.
Get me out of here quickly.
But the bathroom's here. I can do my stuff here.
Yeah.
But I've got to get past the sisters to get to the front door. So I go. I do all my have a shave, put my suit on and everything. I'm tiptoeing through the living room. My wife's eyes, I'm watching her face, and they just do that Dracula thing, like. And then she launches at me like a cat, mouth open, head first, going for my man parts again. She face plants here. I've got just enough time to fucking flinch back like I did when she had the knife to save my man parts. Yeah. But she bites a hole in my suit here.
Yeah.
The cloth is dangling from her teeth. She's foaming from the mouth. Her eyes bright, all red. Cloth dangling from teeth. You can see my boxers through this hole in the suit. Anyway, what happened was the cops came out because of the commotion.
Did the old Bill turn up then? Did someone call him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The cops came out and by the time the cops come, I'm locked in the back room, figuring out what the fuck am I going to do. She's on the floor, wriggling and drooling and crying. The sister is knelt over her, dressed completely in white, all the religious stuff, doing the sign of the cross and praying for her. And these two redneck cops come in and they're like, God damn, what's happening here? And I said, she flushed her medicine and can you take her to a friend's house to calm down, that kind of thing. This was back before, everyone got arrested for things like this. This was back in the early 90s. So they said, yeah, we'll take her to a friend's house to calm down after the ID'd us all and everything. So they left. Right. We were in there was a narrow kind of room, a long thing with the door over here. I'm over here like on the sofa area, and there's like a countertop with the iron on it. Front door just bursts open. She's give the cops the slip. She just comes running in. Grabs the iron. She's going to plant it into my face like this iron. I go like this to protect myself. She bounces off me, lands on the coffee table. That's all these jagged pieces. The glass sticks in it and blood just starts squirting out of her.
Brutal.
Then all the cops go in, what have you done to her?
So you got the blame?
No, I didn't.
No, okay.
So then I got taken outside. All these cop cars come, fire engine comes, ambulance comes. I get taken outside. There's like 10 cops around me. This female cop comes forward, goes, look at the state of him. And I had scratches all over my head, all over my face. All my buttons were ripped off my shirt and everything. And she said, he's a victim of domestic violence, and they let me go.
Oh, happy days.
But I met a woman who at a nightclub after that.
So I want to know.
Yeah.
Right? I want to know. You're working in the city. It's broken out there.
Yeah.
When was it the point when you said you want to start serving up pills? There must have been a point where you're looking after a few people,
right? Looking
after a few more people. They're coming back to you each weekend. You're serving up a bit more. What was the process? What was going on?
We got to get back to Wildman then. So I'm happily working as a stockbroker, top producer, all this stuff. Flying my best mate over from England, put him in an apartment, like a bedsit house thing near the George and Dragon British pub in central Phoenix. So me and my girlfriend, this is the next wife after the one just described. Yeah. We go over to
wife number 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
We go over.
Was she a nutter as well?
When I met her, do you want the story of how I met her first?
Let's gently touch on the second.
She was packing a handgun. And when I went over her apartment early on, she had a waterbed that she couldn't move. She just pulled a gun out and shot the waterbed. And she got me into crystal meth as well.
Mate, this is quality. Well, let's go back to the pills. Wild man. We're going to crystal meth in a minute.
Wild man.
Yeah.
Wife number 2 and myself go over to Wildman's place late one night, a couple of weeks after he's moved in, and a bunch of Mexicans answer. I said, where's Peter? And they said, Peter? What Peter here? I said, yeah, Peter lives here. What the hell? What have you done with him? And they start displaying guns, and we're backtracking and over the road, and thinking we're going to get shot. Wild man just bounces over the road, all smiles. I said, you just nearly got us killed. What the fuck's going on with your place?
Yeah.
He said, they're the local crack dealers. They like to move around a lot. They live over there. So I've rented in my place. I'm staying in their place. They're buzzing because I can do $100 crack rock in one breath. It goes diddle, 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 sizzle, 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 and it calms down my red dots. I'm thinking, oh my God, Peter. So then a couple of months after that, I'm at the office, still a stockbroker.
Yeah.
My aunt says, you need to get up to Peter's place right now. There's yellow tape all around it. Someone's been shot dead. It's headline news. I'm thinking, oh, fuck. So I zip up there in my car, but I've got drugs on me. I see the camera crew, I see the cops. I shit myself and go back. But I'll wait till later in the day. Go back later in the day when they've all left. There's blood on the doorstep. I go in and there's a homicide detective with Peter in the living room. So he asked me for my ID, asked me how I arranged the place with Peter and all this stuff. And he goes, and then I said to Peter, what happened? He says, a couple came over to buy crack, a man and a woman. I told them the Mexicans were back over the street. So the woman went to get the crack from the Mexicans. The man, he had a gun. I told him I'm from England. We don't have guns in England. Can you show me how it works? He says, yeah, got it out. He said, the safety's on. Pulled the trigger and shot himself in the head right in front of Peter. Yeah.
Why? Because he was high on crack?
Yeah, they were all high, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So that was, I think it was, they did it, it was real.
So Peter is wild, man.
Peter is
so
wild.
So you come over, you've got your auntie there, you got you there, you brought your best mate over.
Yeah.
Did he get addicted to crack? Did he get addicted to ease? Was he an addictive personality?
Yeah, I think it contributed to his death by a multiple organ failure. I think he did a lot of damage to his heart back then, because he would do meth and crack, just smoke endless amounts for days, sometimes weeks on end, no sleep, and end up in hospital with heart problems from dehydration and things like that.
And was he a big lump then? Was he 29 stone then?
No, he went down on the meth. He went down. He was massive though, still. His shoulders were like out here. But he was flexible back then. He could put his foot behind his head and everything.
Yeah.
So I have to move him out of that place. So I move him into another place on the west side, and there's 2 females, drug users, and a bouncer, and he's a steroid head, Chippendale blonde hair, saying he's a gangster disciple, and he's a tough guy. And I put him in there because I've got nowhere else to put Wildman, but I'm thinking this is a bad combination of these 2 people. I put the check down for him. Next day, landlady calls me. Peter's been evicted. I said, well, why has he been evicted? He's just moved in. Well, he's beat his roommate up. Well, how do you know he's beat his roommate up? What evidence do you have of this? The roommate was seen running for his life through the apartment complex in the middle of the night with plasterboard powder all over his head and face, and there's multiple human head-sized holes in the walls. So I stopped the check, and then he went to an apartment in Tempe, a suburb of Phoenix, and this is where the Ecstasy business starts out of.
Okay.
Because there's a guy there who can't pay his rent, so I fix the situation and they move Wildman in with him. Now Wildman just starts throwing parties non-stop. Wherever he goes, he just takes over the people off the streets.
Right, okay.
They like hail him as their king.
Yeah.
So he's got homeless people, he's got like Native American transgender street walking sex workers, he's got gangbangers, he's got Russian mafia, he's got Mexican mafia. And it's just non-stop. Everyone,
And what is he?
And
Is he
striptease girls.
What's he like? He's a big lump. He's obviously a presence. Is he just bringing everyone in, going, he's just a face, loves party, and let's bring everyone in and have a party? Was that his attitude?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because
So
I was financing
then crack,
it.
and then meths and everything.
Because I was financing it, so we had
Okay.
unlimited resources to do drugs with. So we would just share that with everybody.
And were you banging the same drugs at the same time?
No, I never smoked anything.
Yeah.
I watched my grandfather die from lung cancer when I was a teenager. His skin turned green. He said, "Shaun, don't ever smoke."
So were you at that time wet behind the ears when it comes to drugs and everything like that when you were in Arizona?
I was a hardcore raver from the UK.
From the UK,
Raving,
okay.
Raving was my religion.
Yeah.
Manchester,
Yeah.
Liverpool, all
Late 80s, early 90s. Okay, so you knew that scene, and then you went over to Arizona. You're like, right, I've now found the ease. How were you earning £1 note? How did it all start with the ease? That's what I want to know.
One of my goals on the thinking tree was to make $1 million in America, fly my mates over, but also to transfer the rave scene over there as well.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got money right from the stock market stuff still.
What sort of
At
wedge
this
did you have in your
point,
bank at that time, roughly?
Hundreds of thousands that shot up to 2 million during the dot-com bubble.
Right.
That was 99.
Okay.
Right. So I've got all this money in these accounts. Wildman is introducing me to the connections now, because I've got social anxiety, even though I've cured it now because I've lived with people for 6 years without being on drugs.
Yeah.
I was frightened as a young person to dance, to talk to strangers. Yeah. And Wildman, he would just walk in anywhere and speak to everyone and light up the whole room. So we had this symbiotic relationship. But when I was on Ecstasy, I was a complete party animal.
Yeah.
So Wildman now, he's introduced me to all these characters, some of whom are quite dangerous. And this is how I got introduced to the New Mexican Mafia. So G-Dog, right, is a guy who came into my life. And G-Dog, we're at an apartment party in this complex where Wildman lives. It's not Wildman's apartment, it's another apartment. I provided the pills, and G-Dog, he's a Mexican-American guy, tall, ruggedly handsome, prison tats, and he's providing the coke and the weed. And we get talking because I've provided the pills, collaboration's possible. And a cop walks in, and the cop says, "I could smell weed from outside, nobody move." And he goes to grab his radio, and he's going to call it in. G-Dog just pulls out his gun, puts it in the cop's face, says, "The only one who's not leaving is you, motherfucker. Everybody run." So I've never seen anything like this before. It's like our Scarface. So we all run off into the night, right? Now, I've got multiple apartments in this complex because part of my business strategy was, I have an apartment where the pills are, money over here, got some back over here and some guns over here. That's how we structured it. So we run off to another apartment and police sirens, everything. Next thing is like bam, 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 bam on the French window, and it's G-Dog. Like, all right, we'll let him in. So we were in a discussion as to whether to flush our pills or not. We were all shitting it, and G-Dog schooled us. He's like, "Look, they can't get a warrant this fast. If they knock on the door, don't fucking answer it. Turn the TV off, turn the lights off. Everyone just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
Yeah.
And the cops went door to door, and then they went on their way. Now, there was a police presence there, so I said, look, you're so hot here. I've got a house in Phoenix. I'll take you there. And we were doing meth, shooting pool. And he had such a good time. He said, because you and your mates protected me and my brothers have got your back. I had no idea what that meant. A few months later, he says, come and meet my brothers. So I go to this house. It's got all the lowrider showcase cars outside the house. Short guy's brother, bald head, looking at me with this mean face. And he's suspicious, you know. They've got a camera watching the street and all this. But here's my English accent. He's like, damn, you talk funny. I guess you are from England. Come in and meet my homeboys. So go in the living room. All these massive, tattooed Mexican-American guys. Chains, wife-beater shirts, shorts down below the knees, prison tats. Guns, slabs of coke, slabs of meth, weighing scales. Biggest TV I've ever seen in my life. A TV showing the whole comings and goings on the street. I look at the big TV. I do a double take. That's not a fucking ornament. I saw one of them in a Rambo movie. Rocket propelled grenade launcher on top of the TV.
You're joking, mate.
No, these were serious. I didn't even know who they were, but I knew it was a lethal atmosphere, and I got in and out of there very quickly. It was only 2 years later when they got arrested. They were headline news. I knew they were the new Mexican Mafia guys.
Right.
But they had my back. So if you're going to start an ecstasy business and it's going to grow, because we're going to bump heads with...
You need a firm behind you.
We're going to bump heads with the Gravano
Yeah.
enterprise at some point.
Yeah.
Sammy the Bull and his son.
What sort of numbers are we talking here? That day, that night when the old bill turned up, what sort of pills did you have floating around there? You said, I want to flush these.
All right, let's do the trajectory of the pills.
Yeah.
I'll try and do it fast.
Yeah.
So I'm at a rave and I see a guy dancing, a stocky guy, Native American guy, and I'm thinking, this is when I'm first trying to find my pills in Arizona. This guy who danced so good, he belonged in a music video. Acid Joey, another one of my best mates from Arizona. He's dead now. He's found dead in his swimming pool with all his clothes on. He was only young as well. I think this guy, he's got the right stuff. He knows where to get it. Acid Joey could get me like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 from the local dealers, 100 at the most. So Acid Joey then found out where they were getting them from out of LA. Yeah. 2 carloads of us go to LA. This is an experiment to buy 1,000 pills.
And how far is Arizona, LA? What are you talking here?
It's like probably a 5-hour drive.
Okay.
If you're not on crystal meth in a twin turbo Mazda RX-7 with a radar detector.
An hour.
This was before I knew protocol.
Yeah.
Once I knew protocol, everyone was schooled in it, but I was naive. So yeah.
Do you know what I love about this? You're a white lad from Widnes.
I know.
And what I've heard so far, this is mad. Funny.
It's going to get madder.
Mate, this is funny. Let's go, mate.
Yeah,
Let's go. So you picked up a load of pills from...
2 carloads of us are there, right? Have you seen that movie, Point Break?
Yeah.
So the guy I'm getting off, we'll call him Saul. He's like a surfer gangster, and he's got surfer gangster mates.
Yeah.
We're in the cars for hours waiting for him to come home. He's not even home. Wildman's like, fucking red dots. I'm just going to fucking kick his door in and take his shit. And I'm like, Peter, this is bad business. Calm down, man. Calm down. We've got Acid Joey and another one of our good mates who's dead, Seth, in the other car. And Seth's massive as well. So I say, look, we've got to wait for him to come. He comes back with his surfer gangster guys. Right, I'm going in. If I'm not out in 20 minutes, kick his fucking door in. So I go in and Saul's like, yeah, I've got the cash. Yeah, can I try a pill first? Throw the pill in my mouth. He says, do you want to drink with it? No, I like to chew them. Because from doing the scene in the UK, I could tell it.
Yeah.
MDMA, 125 milligram, whatever. White doves, whatever. And it tasted like a good pill. So he comes out from the back room with the biggest bag of pills I've ever seen. Hands over the pills. I hand over the bills. Get in the car. Get DJ Sasha on. I've got this first seat, right? So I've got DJ Sasha on, Renaissance, John Digweed, one of my all-time favourites.
Yeah.
I'm not come up on the E yet.
Yeah.
We're convoying back, twin turbo Mazda XM, fucking going up to almost 150 miles an hour. And then this fucking, suddenly I feel this like prickle of fur, just like, on the back of my head. And then start melting into my seat. Fucking, like, twin radar detectors going off, beep, 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 beep. I was fucking slamming on the brakes. It was like that all the way back. But the bottom line is, we sold those pills in one weekend through Wildman's complex.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, and I was still a stockbroker at that point. I thought, right, I can do this and just party my ass off and have fun, or keep working these long hours. I'm just going to do this. And that was the fatal decision that caused me to lose everything.
What sort of price were the pills back then in America?
All right, so
$30,
$25 to $30 in the clubs.
Yeah.
I'm getting now. I end up sourcing. I've got 3 suppliers out of LA over a 2 or 3 year period. And
what were you picking them up at?
in the beginning, the first ones were like in the teens, low teens.
Yeah.
But I managed to get it down to, if you're buying 10,000, something like, 7, 8.
7, 8, wow.
But then I found out they're getting them from Holland.
Yeah.
And I couldn't leave the country. So I got tested.
Why?
I'm an illegal alien.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So I get testing kits from a website called Dance Safe and just start sending people out to Holland to go clubbing and get samples.
Yeah.
And they brought the samples back and they were fucking
Powerful,
good, man. Yeah.
yeah.
So now we got the price down to nothing.
Couple of quid.
Couple of quid, yeah.
Yeah.
If you include the mission
Yeah.
prices and the legal costs, people getting busted, things like that, $2 or $3. And at the peak of it, then we were bringing it up to 40,000 at a time. Yeah.
And you were banging them out for 35s?
No.
No, okay.
If I'm bringing 40,000,
Yeah.
I'm not getting 30.
Right, okay. You
By then, you've got 200 people working for you,
Right,
and you've
okay.
got crime family dinners, and there's the head of each faction who's taking down for like 5,000 at 10, and he's giving him his guy at 15 or 20 and 25, 30, and so on. I think Lad Bible and Unilad did a diagram of the whole pricing structure of the enterprise, but I think they got some of the numbers wrong, actually.
So Ease must have been fairly new to America at that time, right?
They were behind.
Yeah, massively.
This is how behind they were,
America
right?
and Australia, they're all behind, weren't they?
This is how behind they were. So Wild Woman,
Yeah.
a mad scouser who...
Wild Woman, it's not Peter's wife, is it?
Yep, collectively
Okay.
the Wild Ones.
Yeah.
So Wild Woman, some of the people more scared of Wild Woman than they were of him.
Is she still alive?
She is still alive,
Yeah.
yes. We've done 2 podcasts with her on my channel.
Yeah.
She's
her
amazing. Kerry is the name, yeah. She's amazing.
Yeah.
And a very strong woman indeed. And she flies over with some pills to Sky Harbor Airport, Phoenix. And she's got them in vitamin jars and weight loss jars and shit.
Yeah.
And they stop her. And they take her and put them out on a table and say, what are these? Yeah. And she's like, yeah, they're just like, weight loss pills and vitamin pills and stuff. And they're like, cool. And they put them back in a case and tell her to have a nice day.
Mate.
This is how far behind they were. But after that, and after we lost another guy, we went to someone who was an expert in international smuggling, a lawyer, and she told us, you're messing up here. Start bringing them in through Mexico. So then we had to have operations in Mexico.
So how are you bringing them? How are you bringing them from Amsterdam or Holland? How are you bringing them from there into Mexico down?
All right. At the peak of the operation, then
Yeah.
when it was tens of thousands at a time,
Yeah.
I had beachfront property in Puerto Penasco, Rocky Point. I sent the wild ones were so hot in Arizona. I sent them to live down there. They said that the Mexicans would kill them if they behaved like they did in America. The Mexicans were they were getting run around in military jeeps, and they were giving all the cops sheets of acid and ecstasy pills.
Bunging everyone.
Just bunging everybody off. Yeah. So when I went, they called Wildman El Oso de Burke because of his fighting style.
Yeah.
Now, I'll give you a story. We had a big mission. I think it was a 40,000 one coming in. And this is how insane Wildman is, right? So Wildman got ripped off for a $10 crack rock by a guy on the strip. And he's like, no, I don't care if it's $10 or 100,000. No one fucking rips me off. Peter, we've got 40,000 pills coming in. Can you just chill for a minute?
Just relax, Peter.
Can you just chill for a minute? And he's so forceful.
Yeah.
I couldn't say no to him. He's like,
did you have control over Wildman, or did he just flick a switch and you're like, mate, he's got to go, just let him go?
There was periods when
Let
I
him
couldn't
be.
even let him know where I lived.
Right, okay.
He was extremely dangerous.
Did he become more dangerous the more he was getting addicted to the drugs?
Yes,
Okay.
and it was a feud between him and my top salesman that brought contributed to breaking the organisation down.
Okay. How many years were you serving up out there before it all come on top?
All right. So started 96, 97.
Yeah.
I quit the invitation in 2001. SWAT team came May 16, 2002. So let me just tell you our route then, right? So I've got this property in Puerto Penasco. You've got Tijuana over here, Hermosillo Airport, and Hermosillo Airport. Then you can fly from Hermosillo Airport to Mexico City on the other side of Mexico, Mexico City, Air France to Paris. And then you send people on the train to Holland. Having people fly out of Holland, red flag. Yeah. Get them on the train, get them on Air France to Mexico City, and then bring them back through Mexico. And then we would change them over in Mexico, the smugglers, so that we had people who had university stickers on SUVs, University of Arizona, scuba diving tanks, all this bric-a-brac. Spring break, the border's backed up, and then bam, just get them across the border. We never lost anyone bringing them in across the border like that. No.
Do you know how many pills you brought in total, roughly?
You know what? Because I do talks in schools and stuff, I've got to be careful about glamorizing.
Yeah.
I've got a documentary going out right now with the Gravano family. It's a 90-minute one. It's going to be massive in America. because the Gravano Enterprise was my competition, and that brought a lot of heat and contributed to bringing everything down as well.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
White kid, Widnes, in the mix, serving up pills, partying with a mate who's wild and loose. Mm-hmm. There must have been a lot of people looking at you going, hold on a minute, who's this little English kid? Who's this little white English kid out here? Let's get rid of him.
Yeah.
Did that happen?
They were terrified of Wild Man and the New Mexican Mafia.
So that Wild Man was a massive bonus to you. He was he?
He was so dangerous. Like I said, I couldn't.
Was he English?
I couldn't even let him know.
Is he up from Widnes?
Yeah, from my hometown.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. When he was on meth, he was just really dangerous.
What does meth? What's the feeling of being on meth like?
In the beginning, this is what I tell the school kids: when you take drugs, the pleasure's high and the pain's low in the beginning.
Yeah.
But the side effects come in over time, don't they? And you're trying to get back to that first point, aren't you? And you mix your drugs up, or do harder drugs, or do more drugs, but you never get back to that first high.
So you're constantly chasing it.
So with the first time you take meth, you're like, I'm fucking superhuman. I'm at the office. I'm not asking for $10,000 stock market investments now. I'm asking for hundreds of thousands because I'm on meth. Yeah. I've got this meth aggression. Yeah. So my numbers on the board go crazy. I've got the messiest desk in the office. The boss comes around. He's like, tidy your desk, tidy your desk, tidy your desk, tidy your desk. Shaun, whatever you're doing, it's working.
Keep it
up. But it was all meth fueled.
Yeah.
But when it's abnormal, it's unnatural to go that high. You're gonna crash right back down, and that's what it does. And with people who stay awake for days on it, they end up doing crazy stuff. There was a headline news story out there. This guy was a postman. He was only on meth for like 9 months. Before and after picture, face all sunk in. He looked completely healthy before. Headline news because he was on the freeway. His 2 sons were in the back. He looked in the mirror, saw he was in crystal meth psychosis because he hadn't slept in days, saw one son was a demon going to kill the other son. He had like a Rambo knife or something under his seat, pulls over and cuts his son's head off. Imagine what he felt when he fucking sobered up from that, man. But that's how fast people can go downhill off meth.
Okay, no.
So Wild Man's on it like that, like crazy, yeah.
I want to know when it come on top. And I want to know what your lifestyle was like when you're partying, having fun, and you thought the whole world, you had the whole world basically. You thought, I'm doing everything I want to do here. This is the right laugh. And you got the Mexicans on your back. You got Wild Man, who's a big lump, protecting you as well. Did you feel invincible at a point?
I did. When I was living in the $1 million house in the side of the mountain, we got Paul McCartney down the mountain range. I'm his nephew. We got
Wingman auntie.
Joe Bonanno, the Mafia boss. He's one of my neighbours. I've got my wife, bringing over the striptease lesbian friends. We've got a pool table. We've got jacuzzi. We've got swimming pool. And I just thought I was Mr. Cool Guy.
Yeah.
I'm living in a $1 million house on the side of a mountain. I'm above the law. And this is because of what the drugs was telling me. But the drugs had scrambled my decision-making processes. I was the biggest idiot in the world, really, telling myself all this, but sowing the seeds for my downfall. Yeah. So those seeds included the dispute between Wild Man and Skinner. So Skinner was my little brother before Wild Man came over. He was my top Ecstasy salesperson. And when Wild Man came over, I was spending more time with him.
Okay.
So now you've got this rivalry. So Skinner comes up with this plot to firebomb Wild Woman's apartment and send some guys in to rescue Wild Woman with her pills and take her pills. But they didn't know how tough Wild Woman is, so that didn't pan out. So the firebomb comes in, just misses Wild Woman's. She's got some kind of mark on her face from it.
A firebomb goes into her apartment.
Yeah.
Just to nick the pills.
Skinner is plotting against us now because of my relationship with Wild Man, and he's making his move.
Right.
Firebomb comes in, almost sets fire to Wild Woman. She's still got a mark on her face from it to this day. And then these guys show up. Southside gangsters are like, we're come to help you. Just get in. We'll take you to safety. Get the pills. She's like, do I look like I just got off the fucking banana boat? Do I like chopped fucking liver to you? Yeah, she's told to fuck off, basically. Told to fuck off. Yeah.
What was the journey? I want to know the bit where it come on top, because I can see you having fun. I can see this escalating, going way out of control at some point. What was the point when it come on top, when someone wanted a piece of you to get you out of the game?
All right, let me just finish this bit.
Yeah.
So Wildman then finds out Skinner's done this. He's in deportation prison, one of his deportations. Goes back, I smuggle him back in, and now all he wants to do is murder Skinner. Right. I'm saying, Peter, we're ravers, love and peace, all that stuff. We don't murder people. It's a fucking death penalty state. You're crazy. He wouldn't listen to me. So Skinner got so scared he went to the cops.
So he told the old Bill what you're all doing.
He was the only one who had the inside scoop on the entire enterprise, because there was 10 witnesses, but 9 of them didn't know shit really.
What year did he go to the old Bill?
That must have been around 2000, 2001, I think.
2001. And when did you get nicked?
May 16th, 2002.
Right. And did you know they were on your case for another 9 months, 10 months at that time, or did you carry on serving up?
No, I stopped a year before they came.
You stopped?
I thought I got away with it. I didn't realise the statute of limits, and they don't need to catch you with pills.
What do they catch you with?
They don't have to catch you with anything.
So where's the evidence?
People. Conspiracy. You're fucked. There's no way around it.
And what people bubbled you up then? People who were...
There was the 10 from the witness statements, and there was 4 from the over 100 that were arrested.
So there was over 100 people arrested in this?
Yeah, there was 200 of us.
You're joking me.
From raves up to 10,000 people, had my own bouncers, everything. It was.
Hold on. You were throwing raves?
Yeah, I told you, festivals.
Go on.
Yeah.
Go on. What, so you were using the pill money to put on raves? Where were you putting on the raves?
This is a long story
and
as well.
How big are these raves?
This is a long story as well.
Are we talking proper festival raves? Are we talking little parties?
The biggest one was on Bumblebee Ranch, Arizona. They had cowboys on horseback with shotguns patrolling it who owned the ranch. There was 10,000 people on that one. It was a weekend long.
And that was your gig?
Yes. I was the behind the scenes financier, put the security in place, pills coming in, I pay for everything. All the
who was the promoter behind it? Who was banging on the music? Who was promoting it?
I had different teams of promoters. So here's how this came about, right? I'm rolling up early on as a stockbroker in my twin turbo Mazda RX-7 at these little raves.
Yeah.
I'm dressed grungy, but they're looking at this car, these kids, saying, this guy's got money.
Yeah.
So my nickname became the Bank of England. So all these little promotion crews that are getting nowhere because they've got no money start coming to me
for a pound note
to invest in their projects.
Right, okay.
Now, these little crews kind of they were competing against each other, and they would often have feuds. And when Wildman came over, if they had a feud, we would call both parties in, listen to each side, adjudicate, and through this process, we incorporated all these little cliques into my criminal enterprise. So these promoters, basically, I locked down the locals. And if you lock down the locals, that protects you, because you're asking me, why didn't anyone make a move on me?
Yeah.
If you've got the locals locked down, they're so sensitive to any changes or anyone coming into the scene, that information trickles right back up to the top, which is what happened multiple times. There was a guy called Gangster Dan, I'll call him. He was a gangster. He's doing life now. He had a thumb missing. He's out of Philadelphia. And he started robbing the different rave cliques. And we found out where he was living in this complex. He was just
robbing money off him or robbing the pills off him?
Pills.
Okay.
Yeah, and whatever was in the house. So anyway, Acid Joey's complex was called the Quadrangles, and Gangster Dan, I'm calling him. He was in another apartment in there. He just forced his way into someone's apartment. He was living there. So I'm with G-Dog, who pulled a gun on the cop, and I'm with Wildman, who he was like, as soon as he heard that Gangster Dan was there, his eyebrow just goes straight up. Because whenever he's going to do something, his eyebrow just goes straight up. His face stays completely calm, but the eyebrow goes like that. The red dots are kicking in. So Wildman's like, I'm just going to go there on my own. And G-Dog's strapped. He's like, let me come with you, Peter. And he's like, I've got to handle this on my own. And he makes G-Dog stay there. And we're thinking, because this guy's strapped as well, we're just thinking, right, we're listening for the gunshots, basically. So Wildman comes back like 10 minutes later and he says, I'm moving in with him. And this became his thing, right? People owed me money. I didn't send Wildman to beat him up. He just moved in with them. Because if he moved in with you, all the street people moved in. Your television was getting carried out and sold to the Mexican Mafia. You got crack getting cooked up in your kitchen 24/7. Yeah. People were terrified of Wildman moving in with them. Yeah. So I was insulated. Because I had the locals on my side. I had my own security team. And any outsiders who came in, undercover cops, they would always pretend to be buyers from out of state.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who the fuck
Spot
they were.
Spot them a mile off.
Yeah. And they even said that in the police paperwork, we could not infiltrate this organisation.
Where were you at the point when you got nicked?
I was living in an apartment in Scottsdale with my girlfriend, and I was doing Spanish classes at the local community college and going to the gym and getting back into fitness. And we were planning to move to LA because we knew how hot it was for us in Arizona. And it was May 16th, 2002. I'm on the computer. I'm back to stock trading. And then just bam, 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 bam. Look through the people. It's blacked out. I'm thinking, is it the cops or is it people pretending just to come and rob me. They found out where I live. Go to the window, whole complex is surrounded. All these boots flooding up the stairs. Tempe, please, we've got a warrant, open the door. So I go through to the missus in the bedroom, like, all right, we better let him in. We're walking through the living room, then just boom, door just smashes against the wall and hands above your heads, get on the fucking ground, I don't fucking move. And the detective, right, so you see him, like, you see that look in the eyes of the SWAT team, and you just fucking get down fast because your heart's like out here. Yeah. And then they cuff me, cuff me, and then the detective just hoists me up. He's like, English, Shaun, we finally fucking got you, man. We finally got you, you bastard. He was my nemesis, I learned as well from the police paperwork.
Straight into court? How quick was it
No,
to get banged up? What sort of timescales?
I was fighting my case for 26 months because I wouldn't cooperate. They were trying to break me down.
You say no comment, but you just no comment the whole time?
Don't even talk to them.
Okay.
The New Mexico Mafia, they schooled me. They said, look, if you get pulled over leaving our place, the cops do not have a right to search your car unless you have probable cause. Yeah. You tell them, if they say, can I search your car? You say, no, I'm in a hurry. And if they insist, or if shit hits the fan, you contact this lawyer. So right away, this lawyer got involved. I exercised my right to remain silent. In fact, when they were taking me out of the apartment, they pushed me out of the apartment because I started screaming to my girlfriend, this is the day of the raid, I'm exercising my right to remain silent, love. I'm exercising my right to remain silent, love. I'm exercising over and over again, like, get the fuck out of, yeah, they pushed me out and everything, put me in the car. So I was schooled by the New Mexico Mafia. From my days of, doing missions on my own at 150 miles an hour, I'd schooled all my workers about protocol with the police. They had legal benefits. They were told, exercise your right to remain silent. We will assign you a lawyer right away. We will bail you out right away. And don't fucking snitch against us. That's why we are, providing you all these things. You don't have to snitch against us. If you're first time non-violent drug offender, you probably won't do any prison time. So we were tight. By the time the cops come, we were tight. Because in Sammy the Bull's case, 57 were arrested. All 57 rolled over. We only had 4 roll over out of over 100. So they had a weak case.
26 months, back and forward, court.
Facing 200 years.
Facing 200 years?
Yeah, right away they slapped serious drug offender status on me, which carries 25 to life. Plus I had 10 charges, which carried a max of 10 years each if I went to trial and lost, so I was looking at 125. Second year, they doubled my bail bond to 1.5 million, moved me to maximum security, doubled my charges to 20 plus, so now I'm facing 200 plus years.
You're joking,
because none of us would cooperate. They were trying to fucking break me down.
200 years?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
That was when I almost killed myself, because the conditions were so intense and I was feeling sorry for myself.
At what point were you banged up? At what point did they say what did you get nicked for?
Conspiracy, crime syndicate, continuous criminal enterprise, using electronic devices to run a drug enterprise. I didn't understand any of it when I saw it. So when the neo-Nazi Aryan Brotherhood gang members come up to me when I was separated from Wildman and say,
so were you in Arizona, Nick, at this point?
Yeah.
So it was Arizona you were? That was fucking boiling as well.
I've been in Arizona for 16, 17 years. That's where I spent all that time.
My God.
So the neo-Nazis come up to me and they're like, what are you charged with?
What's the day you walked in there?
Yeah.
What was that feeling like?
Charge
as a
check,
young white lad going into an American Nick where you got neo-Nazis. What other?
All right.
What was that feeling like walking in there? You must have been shitting yourself.
All right, walking in there. When I got separated from Wildman, I started stressing.
Okay.
We're in the van.
Because he was your safety net,
He's my bodyguard, everything.
Okay.
13 of us are in the van. Yep. Half men, half women. Wild woman's in there. The female co-defendant starts to get off first. Yep. There's a queue to go in the jail. All these guys queuing to go in the jail are high, drunk, they've been tasered, they've been in fights with the cops, they've been bath, whatever the fuck. This is a rowdy fucking bunch of motherfuckers. Yeah. They see the women getting off, raver women, turn around, and they're like, get your tits out and all this shit, screaming at them. I'm watching Wildman, because Wild Woman's there. Fucking hell. Wildman's eyebrow goes up, he's just watching out the window like this. Fucking eyebrow goes, oh my God, what's going to happen next? So the guards yells at the men to get out, these redneck guards, right? Wildman just stands on the top step of the van and the guards yelling, get down on the fucking step. Massive, right? He's got a Viking's beard. He's been up for a week on crack and meth. His eyes, there's no white in them. They're just blood red. He's got all these cuffs on. He just fucking leans back with his Viking beard like this. And goes to the men, yelling at the women, you lot, disrespecting our women. I'm going to be in there with you guys in a minute. And if you want some of this, you're going to fucking get it. And then he always, when he was really high, he would always do this laugh. And then he just cocks his head back even more and he just goes, and the veins are popping out of his head and everything. And he's just like, ah. And they're like, what the fuck is this?
So, what did you get? How many years did you get in the end?
9.5.
You got 9.5 after that.
Getting sentenced to 9.5 years was one of the happiest days of my life.
How weird is that, isn't it? Knowing you're going to get
so
200.
I was so happy.
What was the feeling when you walked in there, like for you, knowing you got 9.5? Is it the same out there when you do half? You do like roughly 4.5, 5?
They don't do any of that.
They don't do any of that. If you're 9.5, you're 9.5.
This is Arizona State.
How tough was that prison?
All right, so you walk in, right?
Yeah.
And this is when I got separated from Wellman.
And how hot are we talking here? We're talking boiling hot,
50
right?
degrees. Oh, and there's hardly any air. So your body gets covered in skin infections and bed sores that itch and bleed. It looked like I'd spilt battery acid on myself at one point. And if it's 50-degree heat, you're sweating like a dog every day. And your skin turns soggy. So you're itchy from these bed sores and skin infections. You scratch yourself, clumps of your skin just detach under your nails. One of the hardest parts was trying to get to sleep. You're just fucking spinning around in a pool of sweat all night long trying to get to sleep. But it's all gang controlled, drug gangs, racial gangs. So the 4 major gangs in Arizona are the Whites, the Aryan Brotherhood prison gang, neo-Nazis. So as soon as I go in, they've got Hitler, swastikas, lightning bolts. One skinhead had a gas chamber with Jewish people dying inside it and Hitler Zeke Heiling over the gas chamber. I'm thinking, fucking hell, I saw American History X. This stuff really fucking exists. Shit, innit? So then they're like, hey, Wood, we want a word with you. Wood is like mate for a white guy.
Yeah.
Get in that cell over there. And you can't say no to them. They're just going to smash your head into the wall. So I go into the cell. They come in behind me, close the door, can't get out. What are your charges? Now, I'm new to this. Conspiracy, crime syndicate, what the fuck does this mean?
Yeah.
So I say, I don't know what my charges mean. That is not a good answer. Now they've got me against the wall. What the fuck do you mean you don't know what your charges mean? You're a fucking chomo. You're a fucking chomo. I don't even know what chomo is at this point. Do you know what chomo is?
What, child molester?
Child molester.
Fuck.
Yeah.
No.
So in the end, I'm like, I better fucking show my charges. so they look at my charges, right? They see I've got my bail bond is $750,000 cash only. They're like, God damn, who did you guys kill? You guys the Mafia or what? Yeah. I'm like, no, raves, ecstasy, we didn't kill anyone.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the? So they were cool with that. Then they explained the rules. So if someone calls you a punk, a bitch, you got to fight them on the spot or else the whole gang will smash you. Must take showers or they'll smash you for bad hygiene. Can't go make you friends with the guards, they'll smash you for snitching. Can't sit at the tables with the races, they'll smash you for that. So immediately, well, in the first few weeks or months, I'm working out with...
You've got to make a choice here. You're making a choice with the neo-Nazis, or what other options have you got? Or they've pulled you aside straight away, you're with us?
Yeah. But I fucked up. I'm working out with Sniper, a La Victoria gang member, a Chicano Mexican-American. So I'm doing, there's no weights or anything because they all got weaponized and people's skulls got crushed. So it's all like isometric, dips and shit like that. Yeah. So I'm working out with Sniper and one of the Nazis comes over to me. He's like, Wood, we want a word with you again, Wood. Cool. So I say, Sniper, I got to talk to my people. He's like, yeah, go talk to your people. And I go in the cell and they're like, take a look around the day room, Wood. Look around the day room. Do you see any of the white boys working out with the other races? Nope. Yeah. You got a lot to learn, Wood. Now get back to your workout.
What other gangs were in there?
All right, so you got the Aryan Brotherhood prison gang.
What's it called? Aryan
Brotherhood.
Okay.
And on my channel right now, the most viral guest this year has been Michael Thompson, who was one of the founders of the California Aryan Brotherhood prison gang. He was shot 22 times and served 45 years. And he's been released, and I've been interviewing him and getting it's amazing what he went through. But anyway, they're hardcore, man. They're hardcore. The black gang is the Mau Mau. Then you've got the Mexican Nationals, the Paisas, the Mexican Mafia. But then you've got the Chicanos. These are Mexican Americans. And the Mexican Americans are at war with the Mexicans. Yeah. So where I was housed, it was about half Hispanic, Mexican Americans. It was about a quarter to a third whites. The blacks, 15%, something like that. And then I would say other, like Native Americans, were the other.
And how many British? 2, 3, 1.
Wild man,
Yeah.
wild woman, me.
Oh, mate. Was there any benefit of being British in there, English in there?
Totally.
It was it?
Yeah.
What, the accent? Were you making them laugh?
Yeah.
You had to make them laugh, bring humour into it.
They've watched.
Were you there with an English lad from up north with your four-cornered hanky on?
saying jolly good. Yeah. They'd watch Benny Hill. They'd watch Monty Python. All these are shows that have gone viral in America. They were coming and asking me about Clockwork Orange, the movie, things like that. So I really played the English card. Wild Man was with me for the first year. He took a plea bargain after a year and he went off. They kept trying to break me down, so they kept putting me in higher and higher security levels.
So you say higher security. What sort of high security were you in there? What was that like? The day-to-day?
First year, medium security.
And a medium security. Give me an example of medium security.
All right, so medium security, right? Towers jail. You got a guard tower in the middle, right? And you got a plexiglass bubble in the sky with a control panel and 2 guards. They're looking down from this glass bubble at 4 pods.
Yeah.
These are enclosed areas designed for 15 men, but they've got 45 men in each. So you've got 2 stories of cells, bottom tier, upper tier, metal grid stairs going to the upper tier, and a sliding door at the front. And you got the socks wrapped around the stairs so people can be doing pull-ups and shit like that.
Yeah, okay. And then what was it like when you were into the high security?
All right, so the reason I went to maximum security is because we requested a bail reduction. My bail was $750,000 cash only. The lawyer said, look, we can try a bail reduction. We went to court. It seemed to have gone really well. My girlfriend was excited, thought I was getting out. Prosecutor, she was trying to make her name off my case. She sabotages the hearing. The judge doubled my bail to $1.5 million. When you go over $1 million, you're automatically reclassified from medium security to maximum security. And then when I got sentenced to 9.5 years, the prosecutor accidentally put my sentence down as 34 years on the paperwork to the prison system. So I was fast-tracked to Supermax, but I was only in there for about 3 or 4 months. But you know what, I'm glad...
Hold on. I was only in there for 3 or 4 months. What's Supermax? Give me a breakdown of what Supermax is like. Are you chained up? Are you walking around like a penguin chained up?
You don't get out yourself. All right, so...
24 hours
This is, you know, when I interview prisoners who've been in Cat A in the UK...
And there's triple Cat A. I've interviewed triple Cat A as well.
And they get to cook and do all this stuff and get association.
It's nothing like that.
We're the complete opposite.
Right, okay.
So in America then, I was in SMU 2 in Florence, Arizona, and the guards are dressed like Darth Vader, shank-proof body armor characters, and they escort you to your cell. And once you're in that cell, then it's very hard to get out of that cell. So I think under the law, you're allowed a shower every 3 days. So they come to the cell door, and there's like a trap in the door, and they tell you put your hands through the trap, and they handcuff you. Then they say move away from the trap and face the wall. Then the door slides open. Then they tell you to just very slowly back out of the cell and face in the direction of the run. So you're going to go to the shower at the end of the run, and you've got them around you, and they say if you turn your head or signal or fucking say anything to any of the other prisoners on your way to the shower, we're just going to grab the back of your skull and smash your teeth into the concrete. So then they walk you to the shower, door buzz is open, you go in, door buzz is closed, you put your hands through the trap and they unhandcuff you, and there's a button for the shower water, but it only runs for 10 minutes for security purposes. And in the beginning I was like, let me out, you know, finish my shower, let me out. And I think they just got off on that. So I had to do a standing up yoga routine to pass the time while I was in the shower. Yeah.
What sort of stuff did you see in that prison?
You don't see anything.
No.
Because you're just in that cell. You got death row right next to you. Yeah. I mean, they allowed you out. Technically, they're supposed to allow you out for some recreation. So what they did was handball. They had a handball court. So they would come in the middle of the night and say, anyone want handball? When they knew everyone was asleep. But if you're awake and you caught it just in time, they'd take you to handball. I think I went to handball about 2 or 3 times.
Did you have the fear in there?
I had the fear the whole way through it.
Yeah. What sort of fear? Were you waking up? I wouldn't be able to kip at night.
The thing is, you can't show it. So, all right, let's go back to when I first went in, right?
Yeah.
So
did you put on a front straight away as if you were some sort of madman?
No, I couldn't. I was so scared.
Really?
I'm not a tough guy. I'm a business studies graduate.
That's what I mean. That's what I can't get my head around.
Yeah. So Wild Man's with me, right? In the horseshoe. The horseshoe's the first couple of days. It's a subterranean thing that you go through to be processed, and you got to get to see a judge. And because we were a group of co-defendants in there, I felt safe because he was close to me. When we went to Towers Jail, when we were classified to medium security, they put a thing at our do not house together with me and Wildman. Later on, the Italian Mafia that we clicked up with, they controlled the guards, and they had Wildman sitting with us all day long for a period of time, which was really cool. So Wildman was separate from me. So early on, I see a guy get attacked in the shower by the neo-Nazis, and they leave him whimpering in a pool of blood. They think he's a chomo. And this big guy's like, why can we still hear him? You didn't smash him good enough. So he just goes in and gets this guy's head like he's trying to fucking crack open a coconut. Bam, 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 bam. The guy's unconscious or whatever, and a guard does a security walk. Guards do security walks about every 30 minutes. So lock down, everybody, lock down, go back to your cells. So I go back to my cell. This guy's getting taken out on a stretcher, and there's not just blood coming out of his head, there's like yellow shit coming out of his head. So right away that put a look of shock on my face that I could not get rid of. Later on, once I'd learned the slang in the prison walk and I was pretending to be tough, which was a complete charade, they saw through that as well. I can give you a story on that. I saw through it when I moved to Max. But the prisoners started to come up to me and say, look, you've got to get that look of shock off your face or you're going to get brutalized. I was lucky as well because when I did get split from Wildman, there was a guy who I took out on a limo night, him and some of my friends and him and some of his friends, and we just got fucking smashed, like, so we were unconscious and shit. And I'll call him Tracy the hippie. And he'd grown a lot because he was after drugs and he was in there and he had to fight and stuff. And he saw me when he came in and he comes running up to me and I thought, fucking hell, this guy's going to attack me. I'm like, he's like, don't you recognize me from the fucking limo night? I'm like, oh my God, you've gained so much weight. And he took me to the upper tier and he yelled to everybody, he said, everybody, this is English Shaun. I know him from the street. He's a good fucking dude. You know, this guy's, a good dude. Yeah. And all the gangs then, everyone, they were watching the TV. They all looked up as soon as he yelled at, and they were all nodding and like giving him that. So that's the big thing as well, who you know. When I got separated from all those guys, years later, I started to write the life story of a guy called Two Tonys. It was a multiple homicide murderer serving 140 plus years for the Bonanno crime family. He'd left the bodies of rival gangsters from Arizona to Alaska, old school Italian mafia, don't harm women or kids. So he's at the top of the respect. So once he took me under his wing and writing his life story, and by the end of it, he said he felt like I was the son that he never had. So I didn't get sweated after that.
And what was the movements like for you? Like, were you in there for 2 years? You had to go to another one for 2 years, another one for 2 years?
More frequent than that.
Was it?
Yeah, all right. So we went to Tempe jail in the beginning for a day. Then we went to the Horseshoe at the Madison Street jail for the processing, which took about 3 days. Then I was classified to Towers medium security jail for a year. Then my bail got doubled and I'm in the maximum security Madison Street jail until the balance of the 26 months. Then I end up going to Alhambra reception unit for the new prisoners in the Arizona Department of Corrections. That's when I find out my sentence is accidentally 34 years. Then I get fast-tracked to super maximum security. Then I go to medium security prison in Arizona Department of Corrections. But they move me around a few different mediums because they just move everybody because they don't like to settle down. By the end of it, I'm in a minimum security in Tucson, Arizona Department of Corrections, and then I have to get deported. So I'm in a federal deportation prison. So there was like 10 to 15 different institutions I was in over the just under 6 years that I served.
So was there a point that you knew you were 9.5? Was there a point they come up to you one day and said, right, you're out? Did you know you were going to do 6? Did you know you were going to do 5? What did you know? Or did you not know anything until one day they gave you the tug?
Yeah, once I was sentenced, I knew when I was going to get out.
So but that was 9.5 years.
For 26 months, I think I'm getting fucking hundreds of years.
Yeah, but then you got your 9.5.
Yeah.
But you did 6.
Yeah.
Did you know you were going to do 6 and out, or did you think you were doing the whole 9.5?
The New Mexico Mafia lawyer, he was a loophole lawyer. So I think you're supposed to serve about 85%, but he got me way more by a loophole that was a half-time release if you agreed to deportation and you were a non-violent non-US citizen. That was the loophole he found me. And actually, when I got sentenced, and that was announced at the sentencing, the detective who was my nemesis, my parents, my family had flown over and everything 5,000 miles. he freaked out and they almost cancelled my sentencing. And my lawyer and the prosecutor had to go into the judge's chambers. And I'm thinking, fucking hell, this is all going to start from scratch again. You know, and they came out and it was stamped and it was, and I was just so happy from that point.
And did that come about off the cuff? Did you know it was going to be 6 years? Were you leading up to a day each day going, right, I've got 7 days to go, 4 days to go? Or did they just come in and go, right, you're out now?
It never showed on the computer system that I was getting out after 5 3/4 years. It never showed. And the weeks leading up to it, I was like, when's this going to show? When's this going to show? And I was pushing for it. And I was shitting myself thinking I was going to have to do an extra couple of years. And it didn't come on the release date. I thought, I'm fucked. But then it came like 2 or 3 days later.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
Just tell me what you... Listen, it sounds like you've had a wild time with Wild Man, and you've got up to some mad shit.
Yeah.
Tell me how your mum and dad felt.
Oh man, this is the rough bit now. So I'd structured it so if I got arrested, my mates would have money to bail me out, so my parents would never have to find out. I'd even flown people over from England and put accounts in their names with money in it. The cops had put a NetBus Trojan horse virus in my computer and took that right away, all that money, and they'd arrested all my mates as well. So I had no money now. So I've got to call my mum and dad and let them know I've got serious drug charges and I'm facing a serious time. And the only way in America is if you've got money for it. Oh my God, hearing the heartbreak in my mum's voice. And she was a school teacher at the time. So she went into the college and there was a sensationalist article about me that came out in the Arizona newspaper. I was the front page of it. They had a picture of me looking like Nosferatu on the front page, and it was 10 pages long. It was English Shaun's Evil Empire, everything I did and 10 times more. They portrayed me to be a cross between Walter White and a vampire. So I called my aunt, don't let my mum see this. She's like, it's too late, Shaun, there's an internet version. So my mum, she read it and she had a nervous breakdown, and she went to the college and she ran up to the students yelling, I know you've read the article, I know you know what's going on. And my dad had to get her, and she's been on and off medication to this day. But my family, God bless them, they would fly 5,000 miles to come and visit me every year. It cost a lot of money. And my mum would be outside for hours and in the heat, you know, waiting to get in, sniffer dogs on their asses and all this shit, searching them pat downs. And that first time I saw my mum, it looked like she'd aged, and she was crumpled over on that visitation desk waiting for me. Oh, it just broke my heart, man. It makes me never want to fucking even get a speeding ticket for the rest of my life or do any crimes. It really does.
Do you remember the first time they arrived? And could you have face-to-face, or were you behind anything?
I was in medium security at that point, and I think it was my mum came on her own the first time, and then my mum and dad would come on. My sister would come as well.
How many times did your mum and dad and your sister come over and visit you over those 6.5 years?
I think every year.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just under 6 years, so every year, like 5 or 6 times. Yeah.
And tell me, the moment you got out of Nick, what's that feeling like? Have you got a pound note? Is someone looking after you with a couple of G's, a couple of grand, $5,000 to sort you out? Or were you just like, I need to get out of this country? Or were you? What's the score of deportation? They said they're putting you on a plane and away you go, or do you have to sort it yourself? What goes on there?
So regular prisoners in Arizona, they give them $50 on the gate, say have a nice day. And they know they're going to come right back. As soon as they come back, $60,000 of taxpayers' money per person to the prison. It's a racket. With me, the feds came, took me to the deportation prison. Was that Florence? Oh, near Florence. And they say to you, we cannot give you your release date for security purposes. So you never know when you're getting out. I mean, Wildman spent a year in some of those places. So I think I was in there for weeks or a couple of months at the most. And have you seen that movie Con Air with Nicolas Cage?
Yeah.
We're on Con Air. It's just me and all Mexicans. Deportation.
All cuffed up.
All cuffed up. Federal marshals watching us, ready to fucking taser us or shoot us if we fucking do anything. Can't get up and take a pee or anything. But because I've picked up a bit of Spanish, the Mexicans are asking me to communicate with the guards, and I'm asking them this, and the guards are telling me to fuck off, and I'm saying he said fuck off. Yeah. But they appreciated that. The Mexicans really appreciate if you take the time to learn the language, so that was a good thing for me throughout my incarceration that I'd made that effort. So on Con Air for a couple of days, picking up and dropping off Mexicans. This is how the feds create work for themselves. It's ridiculous. Get to a holding cell in LA. Transportation holding cells. I mean, I was interviewed about the philosophy of patience, I think, on Radio 4, and this stuff teaches you patience. You're in cells for days sometimes, waiting for progress. It's a rank cell. People sat around, squat around. People trying to sleep. You can't sleep. There's nowhere to sleep. But this one Argentinian guy looks like a bodybuilder. He's amped up all night long. So half the cell, people are over here trying to be quiet, and the other half, people are in a circle listening to this guy. He's like, yeah, my wife's a supermodel. I wake up with head every day from her. She sees homeless people and she makes me stop and give them a donation. She's a complete saint, man. And she's flown all the way to Argentina and she's waiting for me at the airport and all this shit. And he's just got this story. He's so high on all this. So for 10 minutes I'm listening to him, and then I'm sick of it, and I'm going over here and I'm trying to fall asleep, and then fucking hell, I'm going back and listen to him. This is going on all night long. The next day, the two names to get picked out to go to the airport, me and the Argentinian. Right. So he's really amped up, man. He's so excited. He's going to see his missus and everything. We get stuck in LA traffic, which is horrendous at times.
So when you're getting stuck in LA traffic, are you in the old Bill car?
Yeah, we're in
the back of the van, still cuffed up?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And the guard, there comes an appointment, the guard just starts looking at us. I'm like, what's up with him? And he says, you're going to miss your flights now. We're going to have to reschedule this, because of the traffic. Oh, so I thought he's just going to take us back to the jail. I'll be in there for a couple more days, listen to the Argentinian and get back on the plane. And the Argentinian starts rocking in the cell. Rescheduled. I'm like, chill out, man. It's no big deal, is it? Do you know what rescheduled means? The whole process has to start again. You go back to your deportation fucking camp, and it's weeks or months to get on another flight.
Oh, mate.
So he's wigging now in the van going back to the jail. And when he gets out the van, he just completely loses it. He's all cuffed. He just starts screaming at nobody, I need a cigarette! I need a cigarette! And they all just come and grab him and throw him in a fucking special cell. Yeah? So I'm bumming now. I'm back in there thinking, right, they're going to take me back to a deportation prison in weeks, months. My parents are on the fucking way from Widnes to London because Prisoners Abroad has given them the heads up, I'm on the way. And there's an announcement. Attwood, come out here. Fucking, you going to the airport? How can we go into the airport? My flight was delayed, wasn't it?
Oh, mate.
So I'm in the van now on my own. The guard would get to the airport. He gets the van right near the fucking plane. He's like, I need to take a piss. So he takes me before the van's in the plane, he takes me to somewhere to take a piss. And they have to watch you piss. Mm. So I'm like fucking handcuffed to the fucking toilet rail shit with one hand, dick in the other. Mm. This guy's Peter gazing the fuck out of me. I'm taking a piss. He leaves me handcuffed in there while he takes a piss. Then we're in the van. He goes, right, I'm going to put you on the plane first so you don't scare the passengers. I'm going to take your cuffs off.
So you're going on the plane with normal passengers?
No, he says I'm going to put you on before them.
Right, okay. But you're going to be cuffed up on the plane? Are you uncuffed on the plane?
No, he says, I'm going to take your cuffs off now.
Okay.
Don't try anything stupid. I said, I just want to go home, man. Yeah. I'm not going to try anything stupid. Yeah. He goes, well, a guy tried something stupid a couple of weeks ago, and he had to be, rescheduled.
Rescheduled.
He had to be rescheduled. No. I don't want to reschedule. I'm not trying to be stupid. So,
what was that feeling like for you on the plane? Was it surreal to say, this is all coming to an end now?
When he took my cuffs off, right, and I walked up those stairs, and the cabin crew was waiting with smiles to welcome me on the plane, and they called me Shaun, and they spoke in a voice that I was not an animal or I was not a number. My heart melted.
Wow.
That's how powerful that effect was after being just treated like an animal for 6 years. Yeah, and then I got on the plane, but I was a bit institutionalized, so everyone gets on then, I could smell the women's perfume and all that kind of stuff after being
people
around.
on mobiles, smartphones.
People around sweaty, hairy men for 6 years.
Yeah.
But what I did was I put my hand up and...
instead of pressing the bell for a drink?
No, not for a drink. I put my hand up and said to a female member of the cabin crew, do I have permission to go to the toilet?
Oh, mate.
Yeah. But all I wanted to do was have a bird bath because I was conscious. I'd been in transportation for days and I stunk. I hadn't had a shower in days. all these fit women around me with tattoos and everything. I'm like, whoa, and I fucking stink. So I wanted to have a scrub up. And so she's like, you don't need to ask, it's just there. I'm going bright red, people looking at me. But I'm still so high on the fact that I'm about to be free, it was no big deal. I can't sleep the whole way watching these stupid movies on the plane.
What happened? You had everything frozen, all your money. Did you land back in the UK, skint, back with the family? Did you go back and live with your mum and dad?
So they all meet me at Heathrow. My sister, my mum, dad were hugging. There's videos on my YouTube channel of us at Heathrow Airport. If you want to watch that Shaun Attwood's release, and I'm all stubbled out, right? I look completely shell-shocked. You can see I've been through some shit. Hugging my mum, hugging my sister, they're crying. And on the drive away from the airport, my sister's showing me her phone to answer your question about phones and explaining what texting is. Yeah.
What was your movements when you landed back in the UK to say, right, I need to earn £1 note? Did you hook up back with Wildman? What was the score?
You know what? My plan was to try and go back to university and do a master's degree or something.
In
Liverpool.
I know, but in studying what? Anything?
Literature, I think, because I wanted to be an author.
Okay.
And they told me to fuck off. And that was what I did my bachelor's at. Yeah, so that wasn't panning out. But I did a couple of BBC interviews when I got off the plane. Eddie Murr, I think Radio 4, and a Harley Street drug counsellor heard that, me telling all the stories about the cockroaches, the dead rats in the food, all those stories, the gangs. And he's like, contacted the BBC and said, look, I want to hire him to go into schools and talk to young people. And thank God he came into my life, because that enabled me to get on the right track, because the dole was sending me to job interviews with telesales companies, and I tell them I've got a criminal record, and they tell me to fuck off. And I told the dole said, well, why aren't you getting a job? I said, well, I'm telling them I've got a criminal record. They said, stop telling them you've got a criminal record. And I was also on meds as well, because I've been on and off meds a little bit throughout the whole thing, because that's, it makes you a bit crazy. And when I told the mental health team in Widnes that I didn't need the meds anymore, they said that was grandiosity, and they needed to increase my meds. Jesus. And they were threatening to do home visits and wanted blood tests, and it got to the point where they were threatening to section me. So then,
when you landed, did you feel that you were back to your normal state? Did you personally feel you were back to your normal state?
No,
6.5 years.
I wasn't back to my normal state. I was in a dream state.
How long did it
Going
take
through my
for you to come
hometown
round?
after being away for 16 years? I was in a dream
state. There was no decompression anywhere, was it? Straight back into the mix. No one on the streets would have known you've just done 6.5 years in Arizona, Nick.
I said I want... I said I want chips, curry and rice. So we're driving through my hometown and we stop at a chippy. And my accent when I went to America was like, fish, chips and peas, love, salt and vinegar. Yeah. I speak like this now because the Americans understand me.
Yeah.
So I go in the chippy to get this chips, curry and rice, and I can't understand what they're saying. And they bring someone out from the back of the chip shop to talk to me very slowly like I'm a crazy person, so I can put this order in. So this was my adjustment. And the weather, I had two double tog fucking duvets or something, and my beanie on, and I was still freezing because I was used to the desert.
What's your journey been like since you've come out? You come out in 2008, was it? When did you come out?
December 2007. 2007.
What's your journey been like from 2007 now all the way up to 2022? Because you found podcasting in what year?
All right, so you got to go back to the blog. So when I said to the guard, how does you get away with all this dead rats, cockroaches, guards murdering inmates? The guard said the world has no idea what's going on here, and the public doesn't give a shit about prisoners. So I started writing everything down.
Right, okay.
My aunt smuggled it out of maximum security. That got put online as a blog, John's Jail Journal, and it went on to attract international media attention to the conditions in that jail, and that jail was closed down. That was the first prison blog.
And what year was that?
2004.
Okay.
And then 2007, we started the channel. So that was the first prison YouTube channel.
So you started a YouTube channel when you come out of Nick to tell your story, or did you get other people on?
No, it was all my story.
It was all your story. Okay.
Well, no, I'm telling a lie there, because the prisoners were writing to me.
Yeah.
Because the prisoners all took me to one side, because the blog became not just about the conditions, but about the prisoners' stories.
Okay.
And the prisoners started to get followings online and like fan mail and stuff and books sent to them. So they all took me to one side when I was getting released. Now, prisoners, when they're getting released, they say, I'm getting a job, I'm getting off the drugs, I'll stay in touch, I'll send you some books. And you don't hear from them again until 6 months later when they're rearrested for drugs.
Yeah.
So they were understandably concerned that they would never hear from me again. And I said, look, I'm not like that. I'm going to stay in touch. Send me your letters. I'll keep posting the letters online. And it got to the point where I was reading the letters out as well.
Yeah, okay.
And to this day, there's one of the guys, T-Bone, big black guy, who was using his skills as a US Marine to stop prison rape. And he's, to this day, is still writing to me. He's getting released in just over a year from now. And he's an amazing guy, entire body covered in scars from all of his life and death fights.
Did you ever have the fear of getting raped in prison?
Prison rape is so common, you have to go to a rape class to get taught how not to get raped.
You're joking, mate.
No. Under Prison Rape Elimination Act, PREA, they have to take you to the rape class.
To learn how not to get raped. Surely you just...
No, so that the jail can say, we've shown them the rape class, tick the box. It's completely meaningless. It's just how the law is. We've got to go and do it. I mean, on the way there, the prisoners were joking. What they're going to do? Give us rape kits?
Did anyone come on to you?
Oh yeah, that happened a lot.
Was it? So if someone come on to you, how would you react?
The thing is, you got to have a gallows sense of humour.
Yeah.
So in that first year in the Towers Jail, medium security, gay play and Peter gazing are quite common.
Say that again. Gay
play.
Yeah. And Peter gazing.
Peter gazing.
What's Peter gazing?
Like staring at guys' dicks in the shower.
Oh, okay.
A lot of guys have got tattoos all over the dicks and they're showing them off. Now, now the rules around this depend upon the gang leaders. I'll give you an example. So people, they hear my story and they see that that's the rules, the gang rules in Arizona, and they think that someone else's story in Florida or someone else is different from that. So I must be making this shit up. But every state's got different rules. And not only that, it depends who the leaders are that enforces the rules. So we had a gang leader in our building, right? And as I described, there was 4 living areas, gun tower and guard tower in the middle. There was a fellatio show going on at nights for a period of time, whereby a white inmate was getting gobbled by a transgender Native American prisoner, and he would do it in full view of our building. So every night the inmates would say he's doing it again, and they start just this running commentary of just this crude, obscene, funny. But it kind of breaks the ice in this place. But what happened was, a shot caller came from Buckeye Prison into our building, into our pod, and he said that white boy was, disrespecting the race, and he wasn't a solid wood, and sent word over that guy, if he didn't stop it immediately, he was going to get smashed, and it stopped immediately. So there's...
What did you do if someone comes on to you? Give me an example.
It would depend upon the situation. If I knew the person.
Well, if you didn't know him or you did know him, a geezer come up to you and was like, I want to fuck you. Is that what they would say?
Oh, if someone didn't know you and said that?
Yeah, if someone come up to you and go, right, I want a piece of you, young white boy.
Right,
what was your reaction? What would you have to do?
All right, I was fortunate enough that never happened to me. Okay. But there was a situation when I got moved over to max security. It was nearly all murderers in there in the white race. It was 30 people in that area. 10 blacks, 10 Mexicans, 10 whites. And the cellmate next door, he was a massive big guy. And I went over there to talk to him one day, and I got a sense that he was thinking of what you just said. Yeah. And I got out of there before he made his move. Yeah. There was another guy who was a Mexican Mafia hitman who, 50 grand murder for hire guy, who I started playing chess with, and he was bisexual. And he was sending me love letters and trying to get me to do strip chess and strip yoga. But I would just crack jokes right back at him. Yeah. And it was this funny thing we had going. Yeah. So if a stranger comes up to me, it's not going to happen, I'm going to fucking get the fuck out of there. Yeah. But with my mate Frankie, who's also dead now. You'll turn it into humour. Turn it into humour, and it diffuses it. Yeah. I had guys who I knew who would jump on my bunk and spoon me. Yeah. Or I'd spoon them just for a laugh. Yeah. And it diffuses it. Yeah.
Mate, bizarre. Fucking bizarre.
Well, do you want to hear about the prison gang rapes and beheadings?
Beheadings?
Yeah.
Beheadings in Nick?
This was before I was in there, before my time, but I spoke to the people who were involved.
Go on.
So I met a transgender prisoner, right?
Mate, you know what? You couldn't write this story, by the way. Go on. You met a transgender prisoner.
She's dead now as well. She did suicide by cop. When she got released, I spoke to her the other year.
Suicide by cop?
Yeah.
Go on.
She went out, robbed the place, threw the money on the floor, waited for the cops to arrive, pulled a gun on them, and they shot her dead.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. She was struggling. She did over 30 years. I sent her some money to help her out and everything, but institutionalised, couldn't cope.
I want to know about this beheaded in prison.
So this person, this transgender person, is the one who told me the stories.
And is she the transgender, the real deal? It's not a spiced up story. This is from good source.
Oh yeah, because the other prisoners corroborated it, and there's things that she couldn't tell me that the others told me.
Wow.
That made it even worse.
Wow.
So when she came in, way before my time, I think 60 Minutes did a program about Arizona prison. There wasn't as many prisons. It wasn't the mass incarceration thing. I think it was mostly in Florence. When I was in, there was 60,000 prisoners in the Arizona prison system. So she goes in. I'm saying she because she thinks she's a woman trapped in a man's body. It's disrespectful.
Yeah.
And clicks up with the AB, the gang, and it's blood in, blood out. And the gang brutalised her and gang raped her multiple times. And we were writing a blog about this to raise awareness of prison rape. So I said, what happened? The first time was a gang rape. They beat me up, knocked me unconscious, raped me while I was unconscious, and shoved things inside my body. And I said, well, how do you know if you're unconscious? They'd shove things inside your body. And she said when she had to go to the toilet afterwards, she could tell by what came out. They'd shoved a broomstick inside her body. And I said, well, what did you do after being raped? She said, I sat in my cell waiting for the scars to go away. You can't snitch. You can't, if you tell the guards, they're going to either not believe you or put you in a dungeon for months or years for your own protection. You can do absolutely nothing other than kill the perpetrators. The victim is labelled a rat, a punk, and considered less than human.
The victim is?
The victim is.
My God.
Yeah. So I said,
so there's no get out for that.
Well, I said, how did you stop it? I took the abuse for as long as I could and I started fighting. I won most of the fights. When I stood up and told them I didn't care about getting killed, it stopped. You've got to be ruthless. You've got to be ruthless. That wasn't the truth. She hadn't told me the truth because what she did was so hardcore, it could, risk of. Yeah. So anyway, I spoke to the other guys, and the trans prisoners, they study the Mosby Medical Dictionary because to perform the orchidectomy, to cut the things off. And we can get to that in a minute, cutting off the man parts, which is what she did, with no painkiller whatsoever. So the next 2 times the gang came to rape her, the first member of the gang to put his hand on her, she knew anatomy. Straight into the eyeball, pull the eyeball out so it's dangling from the optic nerve. After doing that twice, she was classified as extremely dangerous, and they left her alone. I mean, when I knew her, she had a boyfriend was one of the toughest on the yard. He was protecting her. But they moved on to some of her friends. So they gang raped an individual, shoved a light bulb in his rectum, and made bets on who could smash it first. And they smashed it, and that prisoner committed suicide afterwards.
I'm fucking surprised.
But another one was gang raped, and they got a shovel from the work crew and held him down and cut his head off. And then they put the head and they positioned it in an area of the prison where the rival gangs would see it to make the point they were the most violent and ruthless gang. That was the Aryan Brotherhood prison gang.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So if you compared like the UK prisons to what you're in, what sort of level are we talking here? Are we talking like the Arizona? You're talking like 10 out of 10 violence, brutality, lifestyle in there versus like the UK prison, the toughest UK prisons. What sort of levels are we looking at here?
When I spoke to the prisoners, I think it was Wandsworth, the guard said it was the first time they went back to their cells and didn't complain about anything. But
so you now go into prisons and talk to prisoners?
I tell them what I've told you today.
So right, okay.
But I've been to HMP Portland today, Weymouth.
Okay.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. So when did National Geographic Channel get hold of you and say, I want to do a documentary on you?
They didn't, right? I got a hold of them.
Yeah.
And because their biggest audience is America and it's banged up abroad, they said, you're not abroad, you're in America. So I said, all right, well, I know people who've been in prison abroad, and I started to send them people over the years. Yeah. And then what happened was their charter changed, and they were looking for some American stories, and because I'd helped them, I was at the top of the list. So that's how I got on.
What was your one called? What was your episode called?
So in England, it's called Banged Up Abroad, Raving Arizona. In America, it's called Locked Up Abroad, Raving Arizona.
So in England, anyone listening now can go Banged Up Abroad, Raving in Arizona.
Raving Arizona.
Raving Arizona. Okay.
So then I've also done a second documentary with National Geographic. It's called How E Busted the Bull in relation to Sammy the Bull Gravano. And it features my ecstasy ring versus his ecstasy ring. But he wasn't running it. It was Son that was running it. He was kind of brought in as the big name by the prosecutor. And we're doing another big documentary on another huge channel, 90-minute one. It's about the Gravano family and my family. They sent like a 20 people camera crew to my hometown. My mum was like, "What is going on?" She thought like 2 people were going to show up. Yeah, it was a massive.
So what else have you done over the last sort of 15 years? What have you done since you've come out of Nick in Arizona and back here? Because I've seen your YouTube channel is massive, your podcast is massive. Have you written a load of books? What else has been going on in your world?
Yeah. They call me Wildman. Called me the robot. That was his nickname for me. If I'm not asleep, then I'm just fucking doing work.
Yeah.
So I've written 15 books. I've got 2 more coming out.
You've written 15 books?
Yeah. I've got 2 more coming out. I've got my most recent one was Who Killed Epstein, Prince Andrew or Bill Clinton. We've got CIA.
Do you write all these books yourself?
Yeah.
Wow, fair play.
I'm prolific. We've got Sit Downs with Gangsters is coming out in the new year. We're going to be officially announcing that this month with the publisher. And that's 10 of my hardest hitting podcast guest stories of being in prison.
Yeah.
It's a 3-book series. There's going to be Sit Downs with Gangsters, Sit Downs with Female Gangsters, and Sit Downs with Murderers. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. And then I'm hoping by Christmas time, my next book is going to be out. It's called Elite Predators, from Jimmy Savile and Lord Mountbatten to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Because our mission statement on our channel is end the war on drugs, end mass incarceration, take all those resources and go after the paedophiles.
Yeah.
They tell us they don't have the resources to go after the paedophiles. Learning as to why these guys were on heroin, living with heroin users for 6 years, 90% of them injecting heroin.
What, in Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before that, I thought heroin users, they're out snatching grannies' purses, burgling
yeah.
houses, lock them up for a key. They're like trolls who live on the bridges.
Yeah.
They were nearly all victims of paedophiles or thrown away as kids.
What, people who are taking heroin?
Yeah.
What of the trauma when they were a kid they haven't dealt with?
This is why they're doing it.
And that's why they're numbing the pain.
And we've interviewed hundreds of people since, and they've told me that as well.
Wow.
So you've got this trajectory to prison.
Yeah.
You've got the men who are molested. They're not given the tools to deal with it. They internalize it. They get on the drugs, self-medication to deal with the trauma. The women do the same, but the men go into drug dealing, trafficking, drugs, robberies, bank robberies, that kind of thing. The women go into sex work, shoplifting, that kind of thing. Yeah. And they all just end up in the prison system. And yet the paedophiles don't get any fucking sentences at all. Yeah. They get slaps on the wrist.
That's the bit I don't understand.
And they create hundreds of victims.
Yeah, that's the bit that bugs the shit out of me. When you hear paedophile, and they go, they've got 4 years for doing that. Someone's got banged up and got a 12 for a cocaine deal or a cannabis deal or whatever it may be. You
can report a paedophile to the police.
Yeah.
They won't fucking go to the house. Someone smells weed coming out of that house. Yeah. They'll get SWAT team raided.
Yeah.
This is not what we are paying the police to do. And we have interviewed cops, wonderful people who've come on the podcast and said, I signed up to get the pedos, signed up to get the murders, and I was assigned to infiltrate a student group, get them on drugs and arrest them to make my arrest quotas. They've got arrest quotas in America.
Jesus Christ.
They get more money from drug arrests.
Yeah.
And they get more funding.
So what are your thoughts on drugs and legalisation of drugs?
Complete legalisation
in the UK.
I just spoke at the Oxford Union, and I spoke there 5 years ago on a similar thing, and I think it was like the vote was 50-50. We smashed it. Our vote was 100 plus versus 50 on the nays. No, the whole war on drugs is utter hypocrisy.
What about the war on drugs? You keep going back to America. I'm more interested in the UK.
Well, we're following the Americans. Why aren't we following the Scandinavians? Scandinavians got the lowest reoffending in the world.
Yeah.
But they rehabilitate
Why is
them.
that?
Because they rehabilitate them, give them job skills, give them educations. They don't come back.
Yeah.
That's bad for business.
And from your experience...
That's bad for business. They want them to come back.
Yeah. And from your experience, how many podcasts have you done?
What do you mean?
How many people have you interviewed?
Almost 800 at last count.
800?
Yeah.
Wow.
We've had the channel since 2007.
So how come you were so far ahead of the curve? Like 2007, I only found out about podcasts 2 years ago. Like, for you to know in 2007 you're going to do a podcast on YouTube. Have you had a YouTube channel all the last 15 years as well?
You asked me about how I got back into the workforce. And starting that blog in 2004 to help the prisoners to try and get conditions improved, that was like... Before that, all my behaviour was selfish, hedonistic. I want to get high, get my party friends high. I did a selfless thing, and it's transformed my life.
Right.
And that's why I tell people, go out, do charity work. It's fucking it puts the brakes on the ego, and it's good for your soul.
Yeah. And have you, those 800, how many of them do you feel like you've really helped? Because actually having a conversation with someone is, for me as a host, is really therapeutic.
Yeah.
And having a conversation with people like yourself or anyone who comes on here, they all leave going, God, that was really cathartic.
Yeah.
Because they're telling their whole story.
Mm-hmm.
How many people are those 800 who have...
There's a transmission of energy, isn't there?
It's amazing.
Exchange. Yeah,
it's amazing. Energy is amazing. I absolutely love being a host of a podcast. The feeling is amazing because the guest leaves with a spring in their steps. So thanks for that.
Yeah, we're blessed.
Yeah.
So wonderful people helped me when I got out.
Yeah.
Eddie Murr, Erwin James, etc. Build my followers, and it's my karmic destiny to help other people.
Yeah.
So we did start to interview other people. But we officially labelled it a true crime podcast about 4 years ago on the channel.
Okay.
So our first official true crime podcast guest was Jamie Morgan Kane, who served 34 years in California prison for a crime he hadn't committed. He came on one day, there was a corpse in his living room. He took the fall for his wife and the co-conspirator because they said they would let him out after so much. 12, 13 years, he's ex-Vietnam vet, biker, take the fall for the women. His wife dropped him right away and he ended up serving 34 years because of changes in sentencing. They told him...
Was that the moment where your YouTube channel 4 years ago took off?
No, but I can get to that.
Yeah.
They told him that he wasn't even an American citizen. He was born on the Isle of Man as a baby and sold to an American family. So he got sent back to London where he didn't know anybody.
So he was born in London?
Yeah.
And
born on the Isle of Man.
Isle of Man, but he didn't even know?
Didn't know.
Wow.
He had one pen pal from Prisoners Abroad, and God bless Prisoners Abroad and the Curseless Trust. These are great charities I support every month. And they contacted me and said, can you help this guy? He's got no one. So we had him on the podcast. To this day, he's still our most viral. I think over 10 million views on all the stuff we've done with him. And he got, there was a big trolling effort against him, but he took all of his paperwork to Mirror Books, who've verified his story, hundreds of pages, and he's just got a second book out with him. His first book's done phenomenal.
Brilliant.
He's managed to move to Newcastle. He's got a woman. He's in Newcastle. He's almost back to the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
We took him to the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
He spoke in the prison. He spoke at the schools. Everywhere he went, there was the spring in his step. There was the light in his eyes. And it's the platform has helped him go in that. This changed his life.
And have you found that's happened to quite a few people who you've interviewed?
Yeah.
Because your mission is to get people who come out of prison to go, how can I help promote you to get you out there?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've done 800 guests on your podcast.
Almost 800 we've interviewed. Not on the True Crime podcast, on the channel.
On the channel, okay.
So we have various playlists. We have a weekly program called Attwood Unleashed.
Yeah.
It's a 4-hour live stream from 5:45 to 10 p.m. every Wednesday, and we interview up to 8 people at a time on that. We've done almost 100 of them. Yeah, so that's how the numbers have grown. Yeah.
How have you? What's it been like for you being a podcast host? Has podcasting changed your world?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
YouTube has transformed my life, definitely.
Yeah.
And I just get to meet such interesting people as yourself. I mean, you saw how high I was on your story when I got out of the car on the way here, listening to it, all the parallels.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed. I go up and down the country meeting characters and hearing their stories.
Yeah.
And that started in the prison because, like I said, I'm not a tough guy. My education became my currency. But I also found these big tough guys would just come and sit down with me and open up and tell me the stories. And that skill set I cultivated has transferred into podcasting.
No, brilliant what you've done. Brilliant what you've achieved, you know. Mad story.
Thank you.
And hopefully moving forward you don't get all this craziness following you about.
I know, that's a good observation.
Yeah, mate.
And what the holy man told me, yoga, meditation, staying focused.
So what's your world today? Your world today is just to keep pushing the YouTube, pushing the podcast, enjoying what you're doing. You just mentioned yoga there. And
I was mercenary, wasn't I, when I was in my late teens?
Are you still using?
Greed is good.
Are you clean?
No, man.
Yeah,
no
fully
way.
clean.
I work in drugs education.
Yeah, okay.
So I was mercenary when I was in my late teens. Greed is good. Fuck, I'll be fucked in the business world. Got to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30 or else I'm going to die. That attitude.
Yeah.
Now I just wake up with a smile on my face. Yeah. I look out the balcony. The squirrels are lined up waiting for me to throw the monkey nuts.
Yeah, mate.
Watch them spinning around. Go to the gym. Do my yoga.
Being mindful, isn't it?
Being mindful.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, totally. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Yeah. can see it.
Yeah, thanks.
I can see it.
Thank
No,
you.
it's nice.
Yeah, cheers.
Sean, before we finish up, where can people find you?
All my socials, all my books, just under my name, Shaun Attwood, SHAUN Wood. Yeah.
Sean, I thoroughly enjoyed this, mate. Thanks for coming into the studio. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's an eventful life you certainly live for a young lad from Widnes.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, mate.
Your story as well is just mind-blowing. Really appreciate it.
You're a gentleman.
Yeah.
Good man.
Cheers.
Cheers, fella.
Arizona prison handshake, right? So you got a bump fist now as well.
There we go. Take it easy, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, fella.